What's up, everybody? Jeff C here. I want to do a quick video and talk about some books that I'm looking forward to reading in 2026. I will kind of preface this with I'm not a big planner when it comes to what I read. I typically just kind of keep a list. I have my TBR on Goodreads, and sometimes I get done with a book and I don't really know what I want to read next, and I just kind of look through there, and whatever strikes my fancy, I read that next. But I do have a few things that I'm very interested in going through next year. And so I made a little list here. I got 6 things that I want to just put on there, put out in the world, and who knows, maybe some of you guys might be interested in reading along in one way or another. And so if any of these books kind of tickle your fancy and you might want to read along with me through sometime in 2026, please leave a comment below and let me know. So let's get started and see what we're looking to get into. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to reading in 2026 is a 9-book series. Oh, is there a bug on me? A 9-book series, and there's also a 10th book that I believe is a short story collection. The first book in this 9-book series, and I don't have any of these here, so I'll just be putting pictures up. The first book in the series I have actually listened to like 1.5 times. I listened to it first, and I want to say about 2020, and then just to kind of refamiliarize myself with it, I started listening to it again. I was like, yeah, I really like this. This is The Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, which is actually a 2-person authorship. What I've gathered from reading the first book is you have basically like a space opera, and you have kind of like you have 2 different things going on together. You have a group of people who work for different space organizations who get sent on a mission. And then you have a detective who gets sent to find this girl, and those things are all kind of intertwined. And then even in the first book, it gets pretty hectic. I have heard a lot of really good reviews online from the entirety of The Expanse. And so I'm looking forward to starting that series, and who knows, maybe reading all the way through it in 2026. So let me know if you have read The Expanse, what your thoughts were, or if you have been thinking about reading it. It'd be cool to maybe read that alongside some of you. Next, if you watched my Best of 2025 video, you know that I was absolutely head over heels for Robin Hobb's Realm of the Elderling works. I have read the first 2 trilogies of those works, the Farseer trilogy and the Live Ship Traders trilogy. So yes, I am really looking forward to getting back into that, which the next trilogy is the Tawny Man trilogy, which returns to the cast from the first Farseer trilogy. Your kind of main character, Fitzchivalry, I believe, from what I've kind of gathered, is a little older, a little wiser, and who knows what's going to happen. I see Fool over all 3 titles. I'll put the picture up right here of the trilogy. I think it's like Fool's Errand, Fool's Fate, and something else. Well, if you've read The Realm of the Elderlings, you know who the Fool is, and he's one of my favorite characters. I'm in love with Robin Hobb's writing, and it's only getting better, so I'm highly looking forward to the Tawny Man trilogy in 2026. All right, so I got to come clean, and if you've been following me at all, especially on Instagram or Goodreads or Fable, I started a book in January of last year as a part of a book club on Fable, and I enjoyed it, but it was so dense, and I was still kind of early. I wasn't even a full year into being a consistent reader, and so I ended up, and it's set in a very snowy world, and so while it was cold outside, it was kind of cool to read it, but it was also just like, I'm down here in Houston, Texas, so it don't stay cold very long, and I just kind of just got to where I wasn't really interested in reading it. I ended up DNFing the book. However, I also gave what I read 5 stars because it was just absolutely beautiful. And so now I have actually picked back up this novel, and so I'm looking forward. I only got about 6.5 hours left on it. So I'm just taking my time with it because every chapter is very dense and just a lot going on. And this is not a book to be rushed. I am talking about The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. Again, I only have it on Kindle. Actually, there's a really nice used bookstore that has had a folio Society edition of this book that I've seen. It's been there for a while. I'm hoping that when I'm done, I'll probably go pick that up because it's not actually too expensive. But yes, I actually love the lessons that are presented in The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann, and it's a classic novel. I think it's about 100 years old. So yeah, I highly recommend it, but I will be finishing that in 2026. So probably pretty early. It'll probably be the first book I actually get to the last word of. Next is an old school, I think it's 4 books actually, but I have it as a trilogy because the first 2 books are contained in one volume. I'm not too familiar with what goes on in this. It's just a name and an author that I've seen. See that squirrel? Fool's getting crazy right behind me. That I have seen mentioned a lot on BookTube and in various circles that I hang out in. And so one of the booktubers that I follow, and a lot of you follow, is Mike's Book Reviews, a fellow Houstonian. And so he is planning on taking 4 months to read all 4 books. So the first 2 that are in the first volume, and then volumes 2 and 3. I also have, and I will put it up now, the beautiful broken binding editions of the Rift War Saga by Raymond Feist. And so yeah, I just decided, hey, I have the books. They're on my bookshelf. I will read these along with Mike. I'm not in his Discord server or Patreon or anything, so I won't really be communicating with him while he's reading it, but it's just kind of cool. I'll read them, and they're not too big. The first book is probably 500-600 pages, but it's 2 books, so it'll be 2 months. So yeah. Rift War Saga by Raymond Feist. That'll be the first 4 months of 2026. So let me know if you've read that. Next, a year would not be a year without me reading Stephen King. He is probably my favorite author right now. I have really loved everything I've read of his. I haven't read, maybe Elevation was kind of okay, but I'm such a when it comes to the way I read, a book can have a horrible ending, but if there's just a couple of nuggets in the middle of it, man, I'm cool with it. I loved it. If I get something, and Stephen King can just throw a sentence out. He can have 2 people having a conversation, and maybe one person presents a problem and the other person will just spout off a bit of front porch wisdom, and I'm just I love that stuff, man. So obviously, I'm going to be reading some Stephen King. One thing I really want to read, I'm going to put this one out first because my wife and I both want to read it, so we're trying to read stuff together. Neither one of us have read this series, and that series is The Dark Tower. Yes, I will be taking my first trip into the world of The Dark Tower in 2026, though from everything I've heard, I've already read some Stephen King, so I've already been in that world. I'm looking forward to reading that. I do plan on doing the read that involves me throwing in Salem's Lot between books 4 and 5 of The Dark Tower. So I will also be reading Salem's Lot. Depending on how early in the year we get done with that, and I might save it maybe for next November, I really want to read 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I've heard amazing stuff from that about that book. I have not heard anybody say anything negative about 11/22/63. If anything, most people I hear talk about it put it in their top 5 Stephen King novels ever, and this is like people who have read almost everything he's written. So I've had this book. I actually own a first edition hardback of it. Honestly, man, it's like, you know, there's that thing of like when you first read something that you know is going to be good. And so I guess I've been kind of like delaying reading it for the first time. My wife and I had discussed about reading it this past November, but we didn't. And so now I'm like, all right, maybe I'll save it for November of this year, or who knows, maybe I'll just read it whenever. But I definitely want to read 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I've also recently, we've purchased a used copy of the Bachman books by Stephen King. So I'll probably get into that at some point throughout the year. If nothing else, I might just read Rage, and just to see what all the hype is about. Yeah, so definitely gonna have some Stephen King going on. And so, yeah, those are the books that I had written down. Who knows what else might pop up. There's some things that I could probably spout off that I know I'd like to read, but like I said, I have to be in the mood for it. I love Mitch Albom's work, and so I'm probably going to be reading more of his works, but I kind of want to go in publication order with his stuff. We do have a copy of like Twice that just came out. But I need to look and see where I'm at in his publication, and then I either want to start at the beginning and work my way down through what I've already read and to all the way until the new stuff. I'd like to read some maybe Michael Connelly or Dennis Lehane. And so, yeah. Let me know what you guys are planning on reading in 2026. I look forward to hearing from you. And leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.